What's up guys, Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, doing a game from the Demacia Cup, but today an EMEA finals game. I did the VOD of Goboster a few days ago, which actually ended up being a little prophetic because he did end up actually winning out the tournament. But this game, kind of similar to my Setsuko VOD review from yesterday, I want to VOD review a player who did not win the entire tournament, but played an insane game, a game that, I mean, we will talk about it, but this game is insane, not only for this one tech that this player broke out, but for just how crazy the lobby did get as we got further and further on. And I mean, to be fair, it is a Scuttle Puddle lobby, so those will be crazy. And it is a gold generation Ionia game, which also makes things crazier. I really did want to VOD review this player, Hypno, from their own POV, but sadly, I turned on Hypno's stream and the VOD just did not have the game in it whatsoever. It looks like he turned on the stream and then didn't switch to the right view in OBS, so it just was a blank screen the entire VOD. So we were watching a co-stream POV, but the upside is I looked through a bunch of different POVs. This looked like the player who did the most looking at Hypno's POV. So start off here, Goboster gets some pretty nice options, spreading routes, obviously really nice in these type of portals where you're going to have a lot of gold to play with, and so it's just going to be the question of how high can you cap. And the Ionia +1, really nice to, spike very quickly to 3 Ionia, get that gold gen, maybe spike to 5 Ionia, get those stats better. Piltover, obviously another nice kind of random +1, though don't really have anybody to match it right now, unless we do. I mean, we can just unlock the Orianna right now, and this is what we will end up doing here. Look around a little bit more here. We see a Jhin player with a Guinsoo slammed. A lot of people interested in holding Ionia units in this lobby. I mean, that is just what happens when it's gold gen Ionia, and when you have the opportunity to play stuff like this. So it's going to be an interesting lobby for that reason. And we did already see Gobo's spats, lean towards Ionia, and then we also scout Hypno right here, who, boom, also has Ionia and Warden. And Warden is a really nice spat to pick up. It fits with Ionia, so the second that we do find that Xin Zhao board is going to look really nice. But you're already going to see part of the game plan for Hypno here, which is really smart, as we'll talk about later, which is we are playing Demacia with this setup here. Not necessarily because it fits well with Ionia and Warden emblems, though it does. You can easily fit that Xin Zhao, who covers both of those, but for another reason that you will see not super soon. But keep in mind the idea of Demacia here with this Ionia spat, and you will see as we get further into the game why that is so consequential. But for now, Hypno just playing a strong board, not actually 100 streaking, one of the people who has an okay enough board. Dasik actually, hilariously enough, on the 2 streak here with the Infinity Protection augment, which usually is one that you lost streak with because you're playing down an augment the entire game. Also does already have a Jinx picked up, which is really nice if he does want to play it towards stuff like the Warwick here. Free Calc Loss rerolls being used by Yobadashi here to pick up the Bard, and to try to dig for Ishtal here, and also rolls being used by Bowman here, who has the Ishtal +1, so really wants to lean into that Ishtal here and maybe play an Ishtal reroll line as well. We have 2 people, who could angle towards Ishtal reroll, which is always a bad sign if you are thinking about being contested reroll, especially with a role like this where you're getting the free rerolls from Bard, you're getting the Bard to spawn in units. It's a little sketchy, I will say. But I mean, what else are you gonna do with those emblems? I don't know. We will see here. Also, wow, that is a Xin Zhao 2 picked up there. That is really nice. Stars are born on this board for Delisum of for Bilgewater with the Even Shroud Slam is really nice. So yeah, a lot of strong boards out here, and we are once again in the Scuttle Puddle, which is going to make things interesting as well. Just means that we are going to have almost infinite resources to work with. Okay, not quite infinite, but a lot of resources to work with. And so it means that people are going to be able to hit high caps. So much has been said about 3-star 4-cost last patch, and that has changed a little bit with the new patch, with some of the econ augments being hit, with some of the XP changes where it makes more sense to go 9. But still, if you guys have watched any games in tournament, I mean, there's still a lot of 3-star 4 costs running around these days. But yeah, I mean, pretty decent spot for Gobo here with these upgrades. Now can actually start winning with the 3 Ionia and farming gold here. So, not a bad spot at all. for him. Only downside is we did lose those first 3, but I mean, a 3 loss into a 2 win is a pretty nice setup here. Ooh, 60 plus gold was the Ishtal quest there, and this one is Ishtal Champ deals damage, which is actually a little bit scary for Yabadashi's board. Yeah, and he did not reach it this round. Ooh, yuck, 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 yuck. Don't you hate it when you take one of these quests? But I mean, he must have had a pretty bad set of options if he was forced to take deal damage with a loss streak calc loss board, because the two just don't match up, right? You'd like to just take one that says lose fights, honestly, but you can't always get what you want here. I guess upside 4 of Omen Death, you know, he does have the void in here, so we're on the way to farming up that Rift Herald, so might not be, you know, stuck certainly having to play into this. Ooh, and yeah, the Scuttle Puddle allows us to get to this gold really quickly. No, man, no. There is no shot we were doing that. Yeah, killed 15 enemies, looks pretty reasonable. To our board sucks a little bit, so I don't know if I'm that confident about winning this fight, but maybe, you know, 3-2, 3-3. Hopefully we fight somebody weak at some point. We can actually kill some units, maybe not though. And speaking of people who aren't weak at all, Globuster picked up the Cannon too, so his board is looking very, very, very upgraded. So yeah, I mean, so far a lot of different people angling a lot of different stuff. Here's where the game really starts to go off the rails, is Prismatic 3-2. So Gobo, some decent, I mean, I don't like Cursed Crown very much. Luxury Subscription, especially in a portal like this, I don't like very much. I don't really love any of these. Worst case, I would take the Retribution, I guess. Does end up getting Pris Destiny, which is a pretty solid option. Ban of Thieves, like a little bit awkward, but you could still look at it. It's just awkward with emblems in general, because obviously you got to choose where those go. And so yeah, he does actually end up taking the Pris ticket here. I'm not actually sure what his game plan is 100%, but we will see here. We're scatting around here, see a lot of different stuff, but this is the one that I want to highlight, which is Hypno's spot. He is on this 5-win streak, and he takes Walk the True Path here, which is an augment. It is very hit or miss. You know, it gives you the ability to hit 10 Ionia, which is, you know, win the game level. If you're hitting this, you know, usually you are winning the game, because, I mean, it provides you an insane buff to your entire team. It gives you these duplicators, which allow you to kind of upgrade your board pretty hard in the moment. Gives you the IE that you can, you know, use to spike, usually on somebody like a Jhin, but, you know, somebody like a Vayne, this works as well. So it's great if you can make it to 10 Ionia. If you can't, then this is like way worse than a Prismatic. You know, if you just cut out this last line of it, 2 dupes, a Jhin, a Shen, and an Infinity Edge, this is like a gold augment. So you must make it to 10 Ionia. Now the upside is we are in Scuttle Puddle, so making it to 10 is a lot more reasonable, but it's still difficult, right? I mean, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to actually just make it to level 10. And a lot of times you'll see people take stuff like this, like Walk the True Path, or, you know, have multiple stats and, you know, be able to like make it there in theory, but they end up dying before they reach 10, especially with something like this, you know, Prismatic augment that is giving us maybe a gold amount of combat, honestly less than a gold amount of augment worth of combat here. I mean, it just allows you to like dupe some dudes, which we did use to dupe. I'm not even sure who we ended up duping here, but it's not much combat strength, and you can see already here, you know, we're fighting a pretty strong board, and it's a close fight even with all the upgrades that we have, and so Hypno is going to have to be afraid about when does my board fall off, and also does need to be just really pushing the envelope as far as win streak. We're on a 96 HP. This must be a 6 streak here, or 7 streak, 6-7 streak, a 7 streak here, because he lost the first combat. But yeah, we need to push that envelope as much as possible, keep that win streak, because we are going to fall off a cliff stage 4, and we really need to just skip, honestly, straight to level 9, ideally straight to level 10, though that is obviously really, really hard to do. But Hypno has something up his sleeve, which we will talk about as we get further into the game. A really, really cool tech here. Also, speaking of cool tech, that is a Seraphine 2 on the side of Omen Death here. I don't know where that came from, but it's just said, hey, I got a bunch of gold, I'll end up hitting this. So not bad at all. Hypno still keeping that streak, still farming up that gold really nice, and still playing this very vertical Demacia style board here, which, like I said, it's part of the idea, but it's very, very interesting here. yeah, looking at this board here, you can see that Gobo is going to actually opt into playing an Ionia kind of like reroll line here. Holding on to these extra Yasuos is going to go for like Yasuo 3 and end up unlocking Yone as well, which is interesting. We don't really have the items for him at this point, but he just said, look, I got to reroll something with Priz Ticket. I need to hit some kind of 3 stars here. And so this has to be my game plan. And the upside is, you know, in Scuttle Puddle with Priz Ticket, it's a really, really nice time to take that augment, because very often you can use that to hit stuff like 3-star 4 cost in this portal here. You know, we can slowly just pick up stuff like, especially once you unlock Yone, no one else can contest you on Yone unless someone else goes for Yasuo 3, which is very unlikely to happen. And so you can go for an uncontested Yone 3 and have a really, really good time of it. Walk the True Path here for Hypno here actually gets another spatula, which is going to make it hitting the 10 Ionia all the easier here. There are naturally 10 Ionia units, and so you can use, you know, one Ionia spat to replace one, which would normally be the Yone, because we're not going for Yasuo reroll here. And then the second one now can just replace if we miss on one of the 4 costs, which is pretty nice here. But you can see we're level 8 here. Doing that thing where we're skipping 8, going basically straight to 9, it really looks like he barely rolled at all on level 8 there. And you will see that Hypno honestly skips a lot of this stage. Is just saying, you know what, I'm going to use this stage. I'm 85 HP here. Even if I 5 lost this stage, totally okay if that allows me to make it to level 10. But I will also say, you know, I would not be confident in Hypno's spot that I can make it to 10. To 9, sure. But 9, usually you can't play 10 Ionia on. All right, last augment here. Swordsmith, always a good option. Gilded Steel, also always a pretty juicy option here. He did end up actually getting to pretty good Yasuo items and made the Yasuo 3, also still holding a lot of other stuff here, holding some Xinjiao, some Aries, looking for really everything. 3-star looks like. Does end up taking the sword augment here just because Gwynsu's is not that great here. Max build going to be the take for Hypno here, just to try to hit his upgrades. And it does actually look like Hypno does opt to roll a bit here to stabilize. Does have the set here, but does want to find some kind of upgrades onto this board. Some Ionians, some Demacians, anybody really, just to spike, especially because this is such a contested Ionia lobby. I mean, he does need to find one of either Wukong or Yunara to reach 10 Ionia. And so this might just be him rolling on 4-2 saying, if I don't roll here, I might not find either. They're just so contested in this lobby. So makes some sense here. Gobo's board looking amazing at this point, just kind of clearing people here. And yeah, everybody spiking on 4-2 here. Finally, a little bitty upgrade there for Hypno, but still his board a little bit trash, honestly, and did not find much during his roll down here. Double, wow, wait, whose spot is this? This is a crazy spot from Bowman Death here. 240 out of 250, has the Tiniest Titan, which you saw earlier. Took max build here, and also I didn't realize he's double. I guess he reforged into double Ishtal of them now, so he's playing the 5 Ishtal kind of for free here. Also has an extra Seraphine there, had 4 Seraphine, so is kind of thinking about Seraphine 3 as a potential out. Especially, remember, we are in this Scuttle Puddle portal. We have a lot of gold to work with these days with what we got going on in this portal, so going to be very reasonable here. Hypno, like we talked about, just taking those losses, is still holding a bunch of Demacians on bench here. So, you know, Hypno, I do really think is very likely to lose most of the fights this stage, but, you know, all good. We have, you know, the start of next stage will be our next time where we really get to spike on level 9, and hopefully we'll be able to make it to 10 Ionia here. But yeah, a lot of good Demacians on bench there actually for Hypno here. 2-star Yone finally found on level 7 here for Gobo. Gobo trying to go for all of his 3 stars here, so just opted to roll it down with Priz Ticket on 7 and did find the Yone 2 on 7, which is a big upgrade to that board. So very, very nice here. We see the uncontested bilge player there, I believe. So that is another way to hit a 3-star 4 cost, is obviously, you know, use build shops, find Misfortune 3, already 4 Misfortunes on the bench there. So a very scary lobby for all people in it, honestly. Like, most people can look for some crazy stuff here, and you can see Bowman Death here picks up another Seraphine, has the max build, by the way, so we are 2 off and now 1 off Seraphine 3, and so he's just going to send it before people start like pinging this and denying here. You can see Yobadashi scouts there, and I'm actually surprised I didn't see a ping come out. Maybe he did ping after we pivoted POBs away, but you gotta be pinging this, man. This guy is 1 off Seraphine 3. I mean, just goes to show that 3-star 4 cross cost meta never left. Max build still a very, very solid option for hitting your 3 stars. The Bowman Death also really, really low. If he loses, he will die, is usually how it works in TFT when you're really, really low here. So he's just going to send it to 0 here, try to pick up these Seraphines, is going to get a bunch of gold from this here. Okay. We do pan over to Hypno's board here, which is really, really important to talk through here. Hypno, if you look at this board right now, he is fielding 7 Demacia. I believe we actually scout in a second here and see that he is unlocking Galio this turn. It might be on 5-1 that he actually ends up... No, I believe he does unlock it this turn. I guess we can kind of see on the right here. No, it won't actually show unless it's an upgraded unit. Okay, well, let's go back to Hypno's board, because this is actually... this is the whole thing. This is very, very, much worth talking about. Yeah, let's go back to, he looks at Hypno's board here. After he hits the Lux 2, this is the big consequential upgrade here. Boom. Hypno's board here. 7 Demacia in here. This is enough to unlock Galio. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is 12-star level of units. This is going to unlock Galio, and we are level 9. Now, why is this important? Why are we playing for Galio when we have all these Ionia spats? I mean, we're not going to play for vertical Demacia, are we? Here is the idea, is that when you unlock Galio, if you've ever played this unit in your entire life, his traits count towards your units on board's traits. He's essentially a Fawn on your board, a 10th unit on this level 9 board. And so Hypno realizes, I don't have to go 10 to play 10 Ionia. I can play 10 Ionia on 9 by just getting access to Galio, keeping him on my bench, throwing an Ionia spat on him, and then fielding 9 Ionia units on our board. This is a crazy, crazy tech. I have not seen anybody do this in tournament before. It's one that kind of people theorized about and said, oh, theoretically you could do this, but it's really impractical. You need a lot of gold to be able to do it and a good spot, and that is exactly what he has here. Vomandeth also has something pretty crazy, which is a Seraphine 3, so this game is by no means over yet. You would think that a 10 Ionia incoming would just mean that the lobby is instantly over, but no, not at all, honestly. So I do believe Hypno has 10 Ionia this board. We'll see if we do end up actually scouting him here, because he should have it on this round, and that is also going to mean 3-star 4-cost on one board and then 10 Ionia on another board. This lobby is just going to become an absolute slaughterhouse. It is just going to be everybody for themselves trying to survive long enough to not, go 8th here. Did we scout Hypno yet? Okay, there's our scout on Hypno, and we do see the 10 Ionia here. All these units in, and then Galio on bench here. Such a cool tech here. Ends up, I believe, using his dupe to make set 2 here, and you can see, boom, the 10 Ionia effect here. Now, the only other thing to say about this is 10 Ionia, as far as, the prismatic traits go, is not that crazy. You can see here, this is actually a really close fight against an okay board from Tasik here. Now, we are sitting on level 9 with a lot of gold here that we farmed up, so we still have a ways to go before we, fully cap out our board. But you can kind of see 10 Ionia, it just really juices up your Ionia effects. It's not like one of these like Bilgewater things where it gives you, an insane amount. Yeah, and I do believe I think we hover 10 Ionia, but I also think 10 Ionia doesn't say anything. Yeah, it just says greatly empower Ionia paths bonuses here. So 72, 80, and AP on your board. I mean, it's a lot, but it's also like not that much. So this is certainly not one. Bilgewater's one. If you hit 10 Bilge, you win the game on the spot. 10 Ionia, you can see we fight the Seraphine 3, and we actually lose this fight. Now, once again, we have a while to go before we truly cap out our board. We can push 10 with all this Ionia gold and then really, really cap out. But the game's not over yet. Hypno 22 HP as well. He's only got 2 lives. If he, fights another 3-star 4-cost or fights that same 3-star 4-cost board again, we could be very, very close to death here. So we'll see. Gonna push 10 here. Find another Wukong. Find Yunaratu, which is an immense upgrade on this board. Find the Lucian Senna, who's an immense upgrade on this board. Also, I really love this Volibear idea. Find Kindred, which is a great in on this board. Gonna Reforge, actually. Open Reforge blue buff. And we get Sunfire Cape, which actually, do we need on this board? I think we do. Yeah, I think we're lacking heal cut here. So now you can see, I mean, if we do fight somebody who doesn't have a 3-star 4-cost on their board, we are going to clear them. Ging ends up going down here. Yobadashi, I believe, took a decent loss there. So, a lot of stuff occurring here. Also, while we were looking at the other boards, Dalsum ends up hitting Misfortune 3. So there's 2 3-star 4-costs in the lobby and 10 Ionia. And we're about to see them fight. We're going to see 10 Ionia fight MF. MF3, one of the strongest 3-star 4-costs because she just casts and she deletes your entire board here. Set does come back here, but yeah, he just ends up, the whole board ends up getting deleted by MF cast. So we are mixed streaking here with 10 Ionia level 10, which is just, that's TFT, baby. That is how the set has been. He is also kind of digging for 3-star 4-costs himself. If he does hit, you know, a Wukong 3 or a Yunara 3, that is GG's. And also, remember, we have the extra dupe that came from max build here, so we're actually really close to hitting a lot of this stuff. 2 Wukongs off here. If we can hit two of these off as well, does find a Galio here, and so he could also just dupe the Galio for strongest board, and he does. He says, you know what, I'm too far off here. I just want to be as strong as possible. I don't want to die. I really don't want to die here. We rotate into the Seraphine. We are opposite side the Seraphine, which is really scary here. The set is doing good work here, but does run away at kind of the worst time here. Can he clutch it? Oh my god, he can clutch it. So that is a win there against Vomandeth. Voman goes down to 1 life here. All these players on 1 life, by the way, just praying that they don't fight Dalasum's insanely capped board here. Rolling down, just trying to find some kind of upgrade on this board. And I mean, yeah, this is going to be strongest. We just have to go for positioning here. And he is just going to throw everything in front line. He ends up having the set next to the Wukong here, which is really bad. This means that set isn't going to proc very quickly. Yeah, he procs really late, which means, and there's a Yone throw on this other side, by the way, that Gobo hits. And it means that Hypno ends up going 3rd. Yeah, this is one of the lobbies of all time of TFT. Scuttle Puddle, Prismatic Ticket, Prismatic Everything lobby means that it ends up being 3-star 4-cost versus 3-star 4-cost, and 10 Ionia does go 3rd. We can watch this last fight here of Dalsum versus Gobuster here, just to see, because honestly, I do think the Yone should have really good odds of winning with the Edge of Night here. Edge of Night kind of broken versus these high burst setups, because it just means that you will never die, truly. You know, you can drop aggro and then just blow up the entire board, but I mean, shout outs to Hypno for trying this crazy tech in tournament and making it work. I am very sad that he does not win the lobby, but I mean, there are things that cap out higher than things like 10 Ionia and 3-star 4-costs, especially a lot of things like Yone 3 with Edge of Night is just kind of a demon here that, I mean, how do you really beat this Yone? He has CC immunity with Titans. Well, that's how you beat him. You just have MF blow up the entire board, you pop his Titans, and then you pop his Edge of Night, and then you kill him. So that is the true end of the game. I mean, just an absolute nuts game here. The 10 Ionia 3rd, the MF3 losing, the Yone 3 end up losing out in the end here. Yeah, end up, wow, man, this MF unit, oh my god, MF3 just does so much work. So yeah, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch and Metafy. All the links down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching as always.